Hello. Hi there. Welcome to Guiding Voice podcast series. The Guiding Voice for a better future. This podcast is to help students and young professionals to shape their careers. Dear listeners, in every episode, we interact with industry experts or academicians or coaches to drive some insightful conversations that will help our audience learn great things. Also, we share an interesting trivia or fun fact about the IT world towards the end of every episode. Thank you for tuning in. This is Naveen and I'm with my co-host Sudhakar. So folks, today we are going to discuss an interesting topic, hybrid cloud management. And we're pleased to welcome Amar to our show today.
Amar Samarth is currently working for a major IT consultancy services company in India. Prior to this, Amar worked as a CRM and cloud consultant and as a practice head for open source technologies. Worked for various telco and enterprise customers in APAC and Europe region. And Amar is also responsible for architecting, migrating and implementing CRM and cloud solutions. Amar headed Cloud Academy and helped build strong cloud competency within his previous organizations as well. During his initial years of career, Amar worked in sales and marketing in various client-facing roles. Amar is passionate about learning new technologies and keeps himself updated with new trends. Amar is also certified on Azure, Oracle, Salesforce, Siebel and Other Technologies. Amar, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thanks, Naveen. Thanks, Sudhakar.
So, Amar, can we talk a bit about the evolution of technologies, primarily in cloud field, since you have been in this space for a long time?
Yeah, sure. If you look at the cloud, actually the adoption started around 6 years back. Primarily people started talking, and initially the trend was more into only virtualization. So later on, as another 1 year or 1.5 years down the line, people started talking about cloud. But at that time, the cloud means they were focusing more on only private cloud. Now, why private cloud? Because people are more concerned about the security, their entire workload on public cloud like Amazon, Azure. They were a bit concerned and worried that how, from a security point of view, it will be more risky. That's what they felt. But later on, as the time evolved, people could see the stability and the ease of implementing public cloud, the cost saving what it offered, and all those advantages made people the confident to adopt public cloud as well. But rather than going on a one stretch, moving entire workload to cloud, organizations started looking at moving some of their non-critical applications on public cloud in areas like CRM or email or some other marketing or sales related application. And that's where you must have heard about the Salesforce and other CRM technologies which picked up faster, though they're being on cloud. After, now there's a stage where now once people are sure, confident that even public cloud works well, and now they just are looking at getting rid of private cloud, because in private cloud they have to manage the entire hardware, infra and all those skill set required to manage it. Trend as of now, what we see is people are into both clouds. If you look at the survey, what is published globally, you can see most of these organizations have more than 2 clouds or minimum 2 clouds or more than that. So that's where the trend is now we see, which is we call it the hybrid cloud trend, wherein there's more than one cloud what customers or the organizations are looking at, and that's where the current challenge is what we see.
Thank you, Amar. We know cloud, the public cloud, as part of this SMAC, the social mobile analytics and cloud. And you touched a bit about this hybrid cloud that is having more than one cloud. So can you please elaborate on that? When you talk about hybrid cloud, is it only the combination of on-premise data center and third-party cloud, something like AWS, Google Cloud or Azure, or it can be a combination of multiple private clouds as well or multiple public clouds as well? Can you throw a little light on that, please?
Yeah, sure. Primarily, when we talk about a hybrid cloud and the scenarios, what we've seen across most of the telcos and enterprise, it's private plus public. But whenever we see now the current movement, we are also coming across the use cases when people want 2 public cloud. So any multi-cloud environment which needs to be managed, we call that as a hybrid cloud management. But most of the cases, we feel it's a private and public, that's a combination. And that's why sometimes people tend to say that that's the combination is the only called as a hybrid. In actual, when we say hybrid, it's more than one cloud. So it could be two or many clouds, and that's where we talk about managing those cloud as a hybrid cloud management solution. So here we primarily have on-premise we see technologies like earlier it was VMware, and now with the open source technology taking up, we see a mix of VMware and OpenStack or other cloud stack or even Azure stack or sort of technologies on premises. So even when we say on premise, I have to manage two multi-environment, that can also be two cloud environment, that can also be looked at as a hybrid cloud.
Okay.
Amar, what are the advantages of hybrid cloud?
Yeah, good question. When I say some things are easy or cost effective if I run it on premise, some things are more beneficial if I run it on public cloud. For example, if I say for email, so most of the organizations, they use Microsoft email, and for them, most of them are now shifting to Office 365, which is an offering on cloud. At the same time, if you look at Amazon trends, most of even the small or slow market users, they were also more comfortable with the infra type of resources from Amazon earlier. Or if you talk about big data solutions, customers looks like they are more preferable towards Google. So the situation is that based on my perception, based on what advantage or what tool set, because all organizations don't give all set of tools, all sort of softwares or technologies. All public cloud service providers are not in all the regions. So that is a limitation in some of the areas wherein they are controlled by the Data Protection Act. So with all these limitations, we have seen there's a mix. So I want best of all the things. So it could be best of private plus public, or best of one private and 2-3 publics. That's where trend is, and that's why we see there's a trend of adopting of hybrid cloud, multi-cloud environment.
Alright, so now how do we manage this hybrid cloud in terms of what sort of different skill sets are required to manage them when compared to either managing private or public clouds?
Yeah, now that's the challenge here what organizations are facing, because once they have adopted multiple cloud, each cloud offers a set of tools or set of views or consoles to manage, monitor or report on the usage of their resources. But all organizations are now finding it difficult to have a separate set of teams, separate consoles to manage separate environments. So might be one on Azure, one on Amazon, and one on-premise VMware or OpenStack. So having 4 different environments, having different 4 teams to manage those and different reports. So they are looking at a single console view, wherein from the single console view, they should be able to see at least. Initially, the requirement is for they should be able to manage or at least monitor and check the utilization of the resources. So primarily this is from a cost optimization point of view, resource optimal utilization point of view, and better visibility across the multiple environments. For example, if you see, in case of private cloud, organizations will have to do an upfront investment on the infra resources, on the data center setup, or on all the tools and software required to manage it. At the same time, on public cloud, it's just you have to select the service. There, the day you feel the services are not required, you can terminate those resources and you save on the cost. So benefits are there on both the sides. To leverage the maximum benefit, that's what organizations are seeing at a hybrid cloud solution, and a single console view which can give them visibility across multiple cloud, so that they need to have only one set of people who knows those hybrid cloud management tools and they can manage the hybrid environment. So that's where they see the need of a hybrid cloud management solution.
So, Amar, we talked about the initial glitches or initial hesitation from the customer standpoint in adapting to the cloud. That is, security was primary concern and governance and regulations were the other 2 components. So with this hybrid environment, how are the industry addressing those specific concerns?
Okay. Now with this new trend, we see, even if you look at the latest even Gartner reports, in cloud initiatives, they see the customers or the organizations who already have adopted multi-cloud environment, their concern is the adoption of the new technologies like containers, DevOps, CI/CD, which is related to these containers, and they want optimization at the cost level. These are the 2 main areas from a new adoption perspective and from the concern of saving cost. Because it's difficult for manually an organization to check which resources on which cloud would be cheaper for the organization. For example, if there's a 1 lakh plus resources or the employees of the organization who are using resources across multiple clouds, how do they keep a control and tap and make sure that it is not overused or underused, or it is properly used, and what are the areas where we can further optimize on the cost? Because especially on the public cloud, it's pay as you go. So even if the users, if they just spin off a machine or you can just use a small VM and it is not switched off, or the employee goes on a leave for long leave, and if the resource still goes on, it's not switched off, so the organization will be charged for that. So organizations are looking at option or solution on how do they optimize on this cost. That's the main challenge what they are facing as of now.
So for someone who wants to pursue their career in cloud, be it public, private, hybrid, what will be the right time and what should they start with?
Yeah. So time has already started, so we cannot say right time. The earliest is better, we can say. Cloud means not totally new. So it's about adoption of a virtualization technology, and it's when you say cloud, it's about as a service. So you do development on premise on non-cloud environment, or you do on cloud. You will do the same development work. You will do the development using Java or .NET or whichever technology you are comfortable with. Where the things would change is, now earlier it was a physical machine on which the developer was developing his code. Now he may have to be comfortable with words like containers, DevOps, CI/CD. Now with the DevOps, things are changing, that there are a lot of automations around. That the user has to just build the code, push it, and then it goes to a testing phase. If there's some errors, it comes back to him. So in a layman term, this is how the cycle would be. So he should be comfortable with those cycles, and his development skill won't, he will have to do the same development work. But cloud-related technology, wherein his role as a developer would be really involved, he need to know more about that. Typically, CI/CD, DevOps, and what are the terms which as a part of the CI/CD cycle are. Now, if you look at tester point of view, even if you say for testers, it's a suggestion that they need to quickly look into some other option of their interest or which they are more comfortable with, because testing part is the area where we are seeing a lot of automation. From a solution architect point of view, yes, the things, the networking rules, the architecture, and the way how the application, 3-tier, 2-tier application will talk, how the network security rules, all would be same. But now only thing is there, now he will have to architect at a virtual environment. He need to understand what are the services which are offered by the cloud service provider, because every quarter they keep on adding services, adding more functionality. So from his role would be something more. It won't be drastically he's at zero and he have to start from zero. A person who has already worked on the development or architect or testing, he knows 50% of the cloud. The only thing is now he needs to know is he has to make himself comfortable with what are those new terms, how it works, what are those new CI/CD and pipelines, and how do I fit in where, and then I start doing the same coding work. So that's where from a developer point of view, this is what he will see the change. Tester point of view, he need to get into same DevOps CI/CD cycle, because now hardly there will be any independent only testing role. An architect as a defined security consultant, yes, it will be now security rules, ISO 27001 or what are those FedRAMP or European Community security rules. From that point of view, his role would be to make sure that based on the region, what are the security and GDPR rules, how do the design solution from their security point of view is taken care of. So in this case as well, there won't be major change, won't be from 0 to 100. It will be something what he know would be utilized 40% and remaining 60% he will have to top up on his existing skills. So depending on, if you say a fresher, as per his liking, he can select a track. So if he likes developer or he likes architect or he likes to be a security or a consultant sort of solution, accordingly he can take the appropriate track. Now which technology, again there could be, he can say bifurcate into say private or public cloud. So if a person is more comfortable in rather than using as a service, or he will have to is more keen on implementing it personally, getting into all those infra and ICS level technologies, then he can prefer a private cloud wherein a user will have to understand how those primarily open source technologies work. And typically it would start from Linux and then could be now say Python or Ruby, and then he can look into those OpenStack and VMware. And person who is more comfortable only on development or testing and all, he can start with any of the public clouds. He can also look at private cloud, but preferably public cloud, and there he can have all these three options. Now choosing one of the public cloud would be good to start. Again, there are various parameters based on which he can take that call. But now for him as well, he may start with one public cloud, but now he will also have to look at it from a hybrid perspective. Things won't be only on one cloud. And the better, if he has a capacity or if he has an interest and if he is willing, he should also look at one more cloud. So mix of cloud, and if not, there is one third independent area which we talk about, automation. So that's the main area where we are seeing a lot of traction, and things will move towards AI, ML and automation. So in case if you like to focus only on those areas, then there are those config management and automation tool like Chef, Ansible, Puppet, SaltStack and all those. which he can focus on. But again, to implement or write those playbooks or runbooks which would run on this cloud environment, he would also should know a brief about how the cloud environment works. So depending on his interest, focus, and he has to start right now, he can start in any of this. We can very well help or guide them, but primarily his choice, interest would decide which step would be his first step, and then he will also have to expand and not just stick to that one technology.
Yeah, great inputs, Amar. I'm sure it will benefit our audience. Technology is evolving and changing at a very rapid with so much of dynamism in the technology trends. Can you talk about a couple of new trends that are disrupting the cloud space?
We cannot say it is disrupting, it is adding more momentum to the cloud adoption. For example, what I focused was on automation, AI/ML. See, right now, if you look at from managing the challenges, how to manage diverse environment, might be one public and one private cloud. Now, after that is, yes, I know how to done, then now how do I implement this? Now, do I have to rely on users who will take care of it, or I have to look at chatbots, or I have to look at automation, workflows, so that things will happen and move towards a zero-touch operation. So that's where we can see down the line, from an operational management point of view, it should move towards a zero-touch. That means whenever a ticket is raised, it will trigger another program, could be the hybrid cloud management tool, which will then could trigger automation tool. Automation tool could have multiple steps defined. Each step would need one or some of other functionality, and finally the things would be delivered and the ticket would be closed. So that's what an ideal zero-touch operation is, what even all industries would be looking ahead, which I think should be very well possible in coming couple of years. And that's where we cannot say disruption, that's why we are saying the addition. Now cloud is there, it is again getting commoditized, so now it is not very great thing. It is there. People have started adopting, everyone knows. Now what's next is automation. How do we automate orchestration? How do we automate optimization? Cost is very prime. So now we are seeing there are specific tools which are focusing only on how to optimize cost. Because in public cloud, we are seeing there are the different pricing items. Hard disk would be of 4 types, and the price of first and the highest would be around more than 3 times the cost. So even a miscalculation of misjudging of a particular hard disk type can cost very high for a particular organization. So at each of those component level, how to identify where the cost can be optimized and how to automate those areas. So these are the areas wherein we are seeing many proposition going on, and for that we cannot cover what all things would be involved in this in short time, but many areas need to be involved. So from automation point of view, from AI/ML point of view, from robotics chatbots point of view, or from end-to-end integration point of view, these are the areas which will be now seen a lot of traction in from a management perspective.
Great insights again, Amar. Switching topic a little bit, you have worked on various technologies, be it cloud, be it Salesforce, be it CRM space, so on and so forth. So we are very curious to know how you keep yourself up to date with regard to keeping current and relevant on technology trends.
Primarily, that's first of all is I love to keep myself updated, because that's what is required as well, and the rate at which the things are changing. Because earlier, even in my this long career, I've seen some technologies they had a shelf life of say around at least 4 to 5 years, but now we can see if I don't update myself, I can be outdated in a year or 1.5 or so. So now the rate at which the things are changing, the new technologies are coming up, I need to do it. I love it, but even if many times if I say, especially the freshers, they don't like it, still they will have to do it, because you cannot stay away from the new changes and new trends. Now things are moving very fast. So every quarter or 2 quarters, every individual, it could be experienced guy or a fresher guy, need to make sure that at least he updates or he caches or updates himself with something new technology related in his field. So he may getting diverse would be difficult, but at least getting deeper into one of those adopted areas could be Amazon public cloud, could be open source based automation tools, or open source based private cloud. Whichever area selects, each area comes up with something new, and he will have to keep on updating. And I love it, I do it, and many times I would say to others that even if you don't love it, you will have to do it.
Amar, one last question for today's session. With your experience, what is your guidance for those aspiring for jobs or pursuing their aspirations in cloud space?
Okay, so I'll just add on to what I said earlier. Here, there are a lot of options. Now, depending on area-wise, could be development, testing, architecting, or security at a high level. Each of this area, I can say I I will look after security and I will look horizontal across all private and public clouds, or I would say I will look into only one public cloud, and within that public cloud I have multiple options. So within Amazon or Azure, I have developer area, I have architecture areas, admin areas, or security areas. So I can get into one area and further deep into it, or I say I will look into security because security is also, as you said, the SMAC area. Security is also one of the key areas which needs more focus. So there itself, we are saying, say like CCSP and all those certifications will add value to them, and that will be required for most of this organization, because more the adoption, more people would make sure that they need more security professionals. So this is again one point, and developer would also have, but now they need to know development on container. So they need to know what is container, how it works, development on the CI/CD, what does that mean, and how that they will have to absorb all those technologies. So area wise, it could be any of those. And cloud wise, they can select any of those. There are many reports which gives the trends on which are the top 1, 2, 3 and all those cloud. But based on my experience, every cloud has its own share of market. Though some cloud may have less, but they have those niche markets. So if we say example Oracle has entered bit late or got more aggressive bit late in this cloud area, but they have many customers who already are Oracle users, Oracle customers. So they are now making it mandatory to move all of them to Oracle Cloud, and that is also one market where we are seeing a lot of traction. And looking at last couple of years movement or the market share of Oracle, even that is increasing. So it's not that only Amazon, Azure or Google. It could be Oracle, it could be IBM Cloud, because even in IBM they have with the acquisition of open source Red Hat, that brings more opportunity in IBM as well, typically in the container and the OpenShift and the Ansible in the automation area. Even IBM Cloud would see a lot of movement. So these are the 5-6 cloud. From cloud perspective, these are the 5-6 cloud, and from the horizontal perspective, these are the 4-5 areas where all the freshers who are looking at cloud as their career, they should be focusing on.
Thank you, Amar, for joining us today and sharing your thoughts on this critical hybrid cloud management topic. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amar, for sharing the wonderful insights and also for being part of our journey in shaping the careers of IT professionals, entrepreneurs, and young professional students.
My pleasure.
Dear listeners, to know more about our speaker and the content, refer to the show notes and visit or follow us on social media. We are available on LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, Twitter, Pinterest, and also on YouTube. Just search for The Guiding Voice and then follow, like, subscribe to us, and also share within your network. In addition, please feel free to email us, The Guiding Voice for You, that is THEGUIDING, VOICE, 4 as a digit, U as a letter, at gmail.com. Or WhatsApp us on India number 9494587187. Again, it is India number 9494587187, and we will be happy to collaborate with you.
Alright, so now let's talk about an exciting opportunity of getting featured in this show.
Of late, we have been receiving a lot of career guidance related questions from our regular listeners through YouTube, LinkedIn comments, WhatsApp, and email. And we are responding to them on one-to-one basis. Now, we are pleased to open up a new mode of interacting with you all while providing a chance to broadcast yourself. If you have any questions related to education, career guidance, or a specific IT function, just send us your voice message through speakpipe.com/theguidingvoice, and we will play your question in your own voice along with the answer either from us, the hosts, or from our expert panel in our future episodes. Hope you will utilize this wonderful opportunity.
Alright, so it brings us to the trivia segment of today's episode. And today's trivia is about Amazon.com. No wonder there is nobody who is not aware of Amazon.com, and it is not an exaggeration as such. Do you know what was Amazon's original name? Maybe you can start thinking, but let me reveal the answer as per the ritual. Jeff Bezos considered the name Relentless.com before settling on Amazon. And there was a time not that long ago when the first thing that people thought of when they heard the word Amazon was a rainforest or a river, but not a website. But the e-commerce giant that began as an online bookseller in 1994 is one of the most successful companies in the history. But the founder, Jeff Bezos, has not forgotten his beginnings. As a proof, when you are done listening to this episode, take a quick visit to www.relentless.com. You will find yourself on the Amazon homepage. Relentless.com was one of the first names Bezos came up with for his startup. So he registered the domain name in 1994 and it still keeps the link active. Interesting, isn't it? Thank you for listening. There is more in store, folks. Stay tuned. Have a wonderful time. Take care. Be safe. Until next time, bye-bye.